Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Big East Rewind. I'm Chuck Everson, your host from Villanova, and today my co-host is, give me an S.
S.
Give me an O.
O.
Give me an N.
N.
Give me another N.
N.
Give me a Y.
Y.
What does that spell?
Sunny.
Sunny Sparrow. Sunny Sparrow.
Oh, man.
All right, my co-host, as always, we got the cheerleaders today, Sonny from Villanova. I'm excited, and that's why we came up with this terrific introduction of my partner, my friend, and my dentist, by the way, Sonny Sparrow. How are you?
Chuck, I'm good. Thanks for the cheer. It's only been about 45 years since I've heard that, but thank you very much.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're trying to bring you back in time, Sonny. Trying to bring you back in time. Back to the future, my friend. Back to the future.
I'll take it, man. I'll take any kind of trip I can like that.
I tell you, it's been a while. It's been a while since we have had on other folks that were important to other teams and stuff like that. We've had on some mascots in the past. We've had on some trainers and some managers and assistant coaches and people behind the scenes. And I felt it was time that we bring some of the livelihood, some life back into the program by bringing in a couple of cheerleaders from our Villanova, both from the class of '85. So let me introduce.
The class. They're my class.
Can you believe it, Sonny?
They're my class.
I'm involved with the '85 team. Can you believe that? I can't even believe it. So today we have with us Mr. Steve Murphy, and Steve is famous. We're going to talk about this, Sonny. Steve actually came to my rescue when I was attacked unceremoniously.
Viciously, as a
now my buddy Reggie Williams.
Vicious attack.
It was vicious, you know. But Steve, I got 15 minutes to fame out of that. Steve got about 3 minutes, so it worked out. Okay, and also the very lovely and vivacious Lori DeCello Winschuh is with us. So Lori's with us. How are you, Lori?
Thank you, Chuck. Oh, very good. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to have fun. There's no doubt about it. I feel sorry for Sonny right now, but
I do too. I do too, because we obviously cheered against him. So
we did promise like a full 360 view at the Big East. So this was a area that was missing, right? We had so many different aspects, but honestly, the full spectrum and the invention, more or less, of college basketball and TV, you guys were a big part of it. I know they talk a lot about it with our Syracuse group, man. It was always like, oh, here comes a camera. They were knocking each other over to get in front of that thing, you know?
Well, there was a trio of girls, actually, Sonny, with Lori being one of them, Patty and Lisa. They were everywhere. You know, anytime they got more camera time than me, and I was looking for the camera back in '85.
I know what you're talking about.
Every time they did something, the three of them were, well, it goes without saying, Sonny, you know. But anyway, so let's get started. Steve, let's kick it off with you. How did you guys, and I'll start with Steve first. How did you guys wind up on the cheerleading squad? Was that something that you looked to do when you first got there? I think not, right, Steve? I know, we talked a bit about this. So tell me about how you made the cheerleading squad.
Well, it's a very interesting story, and I won't bore you with all the gory details of it, Chuck and Sonny. But first of all, hey, thanks for having Lori and I on. I know you're into like your 90th some odd episode, and it's a tribute to the two of you guys and the product that you guys produce and bring out to some of us who grew up in the Big East and have so many fond memories. And I really enjoy the podcast, and when Chuck mentioned it to us the other day, it was a thrill to be asked to come on. So thanks so much, guys.
Glad you're
to back up, and I'll tell you real quickly, I only cheered 1 year at Villanova, and it happened to be my and Lori's senior year. And the way it happened was my junior year, Lori's junior year as well, I was at a party, and unbeknownst to me, Lori, Patty, and Lisa, who you just mentioned, classmates, we're all classmates, we all happened to be at the same party. And at about 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night, the three of these beauties come over to me and they said, "Hey, Steve, you really love Villanova basketball. You're really into basketball. You play a lot of basketball. You have a big voice. We'd like you to try out for Villanova cheerleading for next year." And I kind of shrugged my shoulders a little bit, and I said, "I love you girls. I love what you do for Villanova. You know, you're the best." But I said, "I don't have a cheerleading bone in my body. I just want to go to games and enjoy them from the stands and blah, 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 blah." Well, they kind of just said, "All right, okay." But they circled back at this party at about 2 o'clock in the morning after I had a couple of libations, legal at the time. I was legal at the time. And I must have said yes, unbeknownst to me, that I would try out for cheerleading. Lori, Patty, and Lisa called my apartment the next morning and said there were about 15 people who are witnesses and saw that you agreed to try out for cheerleading. And I couldn't back out of it. I held to my word and tried out. And thankfully, as all things turned out, it was one of the best experiences of my college career. And I can only thank Lori, Lisa, and Patty for coming back and asking me a second time at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. So wait a second. So that's how you get a national championship ring, Chuck? That's it? Is that simple? You just got to be at the right time.
You know what? I don't even know. I'm going to ask him that. I don't even know. I mean, but yeah, I don't even know. You picked a great year. You picked a great year to be on the team. I'll say that, Steve. Holy cow.
No, man.
Better than that.
Well, as everyone on this show can attest, there was a first-year assistant coach, Steve Lapis.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a 1 year on the staff. He got a ring, and I said to him, we were hugging at half court in Lexington that night, and I said, "Lap," I said, "Your first year, I'm first year. We both win national championships in our first year doing this at Villanova," and it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. A lot of fun.
That's
How
awesome.
about you, Lori? How did you get started?
That was fun. So freshman year, I forget, someone had said to me, "Hey, they're having tryouts over at St. Mary's. You know, you should think about it," since I had cheered like my whole life since I was in first grade. And, you know, I grew up with 3 older brothers. They played basketball. It was just in my blood. And I was like, you know what? You can't beat the seats, and, you know, how fun to like know that you'll be at every single game. So I was like, all right, I think I'll just go check it out. And so Patty and I were the 2 freshmen that ended up making it. So my first year, my captain was Patty Riley, who is now married to Jay Wright.
Yeah.
So she was my captain my first year, and she was just as sweet as can be. She treated us like, you know, we weren't the babies on the squad. She was such a little mothering, you know, she was just wonderful, just like she is now with the players, you know, how she was. But yeah, so next thing I know, I was in it, and it was unbelievable.
So you were on the squad all 4 years.
Well, you try out your freshman year. So yes, I made it my first year, and then I cheered. You go after your freshman year, you go to summer camp in Tennessee. And let me tell you, our guys loved going to camp because the Tennessee cheerleaders were, the girls were very cute. So yeah, we go to Tennessee for camp, and then I cheered sophomore, junior, senior year. And we went everywhere in the van, just following you guys. I mean, but back then we didn't have like Nebraska and, you know, super far, but, you know, we traveled everywhere.
I was just going to ask you about the travel, because our cheerleaders didn't go to every away, even all the Big East games. Like sometimes they didn't go. So what was your arrangements? Did you go to every away game?
Every single away game. It didn't matter. I mean, game, like we drove far. So we had a white van, and usually one of the guys drove the van. And so we just, we'd skip classes and we just had to be at the game an hour before the game started. So whoever was the captain at that time would get all the, we had an advisor that was kind of involved, pretty much our captains. But that was the best part of cheering, was going to all these arenas in Syracuse, Sonny. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I know.
You guys were rough.
What do you mean rough?
I mean, Patty was
hit
by an orange.
I was going to ask you, did you ever have a hard time getting into an arena? Because it wasn't common that always had the road cheerleaders. So, did you guys have any hard times?
No, because
our senior year,
Villanova was always traveled with the team. I feel like, you think, Murph, we had a problem?
Sonny, the only game that I missed senior year, and the squad naturally, was Syracuse, because it was like snowing like crazy, and the decision came down that there was no way we could get up there driving it. So that was the only game that we missed, right, Laura? That whole year was going up to Syracuse. So I unfortunately did not get into the Dome during my 1 year.
Yeah. It was crazy.
I got into the Dome after I graduated. So that was a lot of fun.
So I want to ask on that same line, think of all the arenas that you went to. I want you to just tell me either a best one, give me your best one, and give me which one was the worst. Like, facilities or sideline, there's no room, because the Palestra was rough. You had no room, right?
Right. Palestra, all-time favorite. All-time favorite.
Because it's at home, but for training, that's tough.
And it was so loud. I think I love North Carolina. I mean, North Carolina's, that Dean Dome was insane. So that was a really fun arena. And we saw Michael Jordan play. That was I want to say that was my sophomore. Chuck, would that have been my sophomore year or junior year?
Yeah. Because I was a freshman then. So you're sophomore.
Okay, yes, a sophomore year. But I have to tell you, Syracuse, we did not like going there, because you guys would throw oranges and orange cartons, and it was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, cheerleaders.
I think they were aiming at the players, but they were trying to get you.
Maybe it was the players. We were in the way.
Yeah, no, we were. It was a
That's
tough.
So funny.
It was a tough place, but you had plenty of room to operate, right? Didn't you guys have?
Oh, it was great. It was a great place to cheer. It was huge.
And the stands were a little bit off the court, so you really had, not anymore. Now they put the fans, literally try to get them on the court.
Exactly. Yeah. Most of the arenas, I feel like we had plenty of room. We would always sit to the left or the right of the basket on the court. So, you just felt like you were right in it, which was awesome.
So what was the deal with opposing teams' cheerleaders? Did you guys socialize? Like, oh, hey, come on up. You guys swap gear. Like, I'll get you a T-shirt. You'll get me this. Because I know that, like, our managers, that was a big black market thing, but no, like, there's no mixing? Really?
No.
Wow.
No way.
I don't even think we ever talked to the other cheerleaders, right? I don't know. We kind of
the only thing that had to be worked out was who was going out first with the first cheer on the court, and then you just alternate from there, right, Laura?
Yep, exactly.
But that was the only communication, or whose band was going to play first. If it was our band or the opposing band.
Everybody do like a party after the game, say, hey, cheerleaders, we all go to, Bugsy's, or we go to the library, like in a bar in the Syracuse, Nobody, nothing?
We would not invite them to Smokey Joe's after the game at the Palestra. That's for sure.
Oh, man. I'm saying yes, it did.
Because we were so far away from them. Like, we never had, I don't even think we really had the opportunity to ever mingle with them. So there was never any bad blood, but I don't think we ever had the opportunity to even socialize, because when we got to the gym, we were warming up, we were stretching, practicing our pyramids, and then all of a sudden, as soon as the guys came out, it was go time, so I feel like we didn't really have downtime.
One last question on that line. Okay. One last question. Okay. Did the Big East, especially come conference time, did they bring you in to like a luncheon and kind of force some social, any of that kind of stuff? Because they did it with us as players. It was very well orchestrated.
Not all of us, Sonny. Not all of us. The three beauties, definitely. Lori, Patty, and Lisa, and the rest of our squad too. I shouldn't sell the rest of our gorgeous cheerleading females short either. But they would walk into arenas, and the cameramen would know their names, and like they were all best friends. So to go to a media day in New York, it was like, oh, Lori, Lisa, and Patty are coming up, and it's a.
So how many? What was your makeup of your team?
Did we have 6 girls, 6 guys, and then an alternate, right?
I think that's about right, Laura.
Yeah.
And then the mascot, a backup mascot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit, Steve, about the travel, because those trips had to be great for you guys, because you always took the van no matter where we were playing, and you were at every game. I mean, the only game I think you missed, I think we and I talked about it, they had a weather thing in Syracuse. I think you missed one game at the Dome, right?
That's correct. Yeah, my 1 year. And by the way, you guys, Sonny and Chuck, only cheerleading 1 year. I still have 3 years of eligibility, and I've let Mark Jackson know that. I've let Father Peter know that. So I've got 3 years. And if I ever, apply for a COVID year, I'm going to work for maybe 4 years.
Right. Another year. What kind of NIL do you get with that, though, Steve? That's what I want.
That said,
what kind of NIL? So
yeah, right, exactly. That said, the travel was a lot of fun.
Had to be.
And some of the highlights for me that year was obviously going to every game, sans Syracuse, but I'll never forget, Chuck, the game in Pittsburgh where we got blown out at the end of the year. But Lori is from Pittsburgh, and her family was gracious enough to host us in their home overnight. And we had a big party, even though we got blown out. And then, Laura, you and I flew for spring break for like 3 days, and then back to New York for the start of the Big East tournament, which was
wait a second. Stop right there, Steve. So you guys got to go on spring break. There was no training, no workout, no nothing? Is that what you're saying?
Right down.
We worked really hard, man.
You like having new sets you had to work on? Nothing?
Wow.
Well, at that point of the year, Sonny, we had it all down. We were down pat, right, Laura?
Remember the guys got sunburned? So a couple of the guys went down and they got sunburned because they tried to get as much sun as they could quick. So when we got back up to New York and the girls were jumping on their shoulders they were just like cringing of the pain of the sunburn. And we were like, oh, well, you went to Fort Lauderdale.
That was tough.
It was fun.
Yeah,
I toughed it out.
Yeah,
did.
Well, listen, we started to mention it. Talk about the run in '85 that we went on, and when we went through that tournament, you guys obviously were at every. Did you take the van down out to Dayton and all those other places, or
no?
The NCAA paid for all our travel.
The NCAA, right? Yeah.
Nice.
That was they treated us so well, right, Murph?
Yes.
So,
okay.
I'll start just by saying, Dickie V, and you guys mentioned it, it was kind of like the start of ESPN and the Big East, and all that. And Dickie V would do a couple of our games in Chukka. And Sonny, you knew this really well. But Dickie V never loved Villanova that year, our senior year, Chuck, your junior year. He was like down on us, this. So whenever we went into arena and Dickie was doing the game, I'd always go over to him before the game and I'd say, Dickie V, we know you don't love us, but we're going to win tonight. And this is going to start our roll, and we're going deep in the tournament this year. And so he goes, no, you guys don't have it. You guys don't have it. And we were like, bust each other's chops the whole time. And so those things were kind of fun because you really got to know broadcasters and so forth and opposing players because you'd see them before the games. And some of the coaches we'd get to know, right, Laura? And because we see them a couple times a year. And Coach Boeheim was never too nice to us.
Did you get a chance to stay at the team hotel when you guys travel? Did you guys have to like scramble for your own hotels and everything?
Everything was paid for. Every year that I went, NCAA, just wherever you guys were, we were there. We went to the.
But how about the season?
Have, like,
same for the season?
Oh, for the season, I think our budget paid for like the hotels. I think we had a budget or something from the school.
Okay.
You know, that paid, but they put us up in nice hotels, and
good.
Yeah, it was great. So I remember all the cheerleaders, we got together when they were doing the announcement of where we were going to go. So here it is, senior year. And so I get up in front of everybody and I go, okay, I've cheered my whole life. This is my last year. So my last game is going to be the championship game, and I'm going out winning. So I remember they had like munchkins or donuts, and they started just firing food at me, like, there's no way. Murphy, you remember that? And
yes, I do, Laura.
And flying, and I'm like, I'm telling you, we're going to win this whole thing. So then they announced we had to go to Dayton and play University of Dayton at Dayton, and then Navy, right, Chuck? Navy was...
No, we played them, and then we played Michigan.
Oh, and then Michigan. And then they were like, okay, Laura, we're not even getting out of the first round. You think we're going all the way? And I just was like, no, it's going to happen. I believed in our guys. They were special. Our boys were.
I'm glad to hear that everybody had such great faith in us, because I had thought this whole time that he was supporting everybody and not trying to, rip us down.
I always tell Chuck.
Good. Thank you, Lori, for sticking up for us. Thank you.
I tell Chuck he's special.
I'm sure he had your back.
Yeah.
But Dayton, should I tell him about the Dayton game?
Sure.
So my best friend from home went to Dayton, and she said after the game, and we were playing Dayton, after the game, we're going to bring you to a party, your whole squad. So we were, I think it was like right before St. Patrick's Day or on St. Patrick's Day.
On St. Patrick's Day, yeah.
Right?
We played Michigan on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, so that's what it was. It was Michigan. So I remember we won that night, right, Murph? And then we went to this party, which I didn't realize was the football house. And our whole squad went with our jackets, our Villanova jackets. And I remember like drinking with my girlfriend and talking. And all of a sudden I turn around and there is like a brawl going on. My partner is on the ground with a football player, like punching him. And I mean, it was just an all out brawl. And I'm thinking, oh my God, we got to cheer like the next game. And our guys are just, this big fight. So one of my girlfriend's really good friends, this huge football player, just went running over, broke up the fight. And we left. And Murph, right? My partner had a black eye.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It looked like I injured him from cheering, but really it was this. So Dave was a little scary for us, but I mean, they just jumped you guys,
But our toughest game, I would say our toughest game. Wouldn't you say, Chuck?
Well, the last game wasn't easy, but I mean, the Dayton game, we had to get past that to get to do the rest of it. And, we had to play a bunch of number one seeds in Michigan and
Carolina,
Georgetown, and North Carolina. So that was not an easy road at all. And Dayton was tough because there really wasn't. That coach would let us get out and be kids a little bit. He would expect us to go and see the town or whatever, but there wasn't much to see.
Nothing. That's why we went to the party.
I remember outside the hotel there was like a live. A cattle or a livestock truck full of horrific smelling animals that were so that wasn't good when we went to go eat, but I do remember that. So next we went down and we played Lenny Bias and then of course North Carolina, and you guys flew up for that and
down to Birmingham. Yep.
And what happened there? Any good stuff go on there on the way down there or when we got there?
That was the second time we saw Maryland, right? Because we played them at Cole. And Sonny, you can appreciate this being a player and everything, but for me, and Lori and the rest of the squad, when we're that close to this kind of talent, it's pretty awesome to watch.
Yeah.
And I said after we played Maryland the first time, I said, I've never seen a better basketball body than Len Bias.
Yeah.
He had the tools. And then, they beat us, right, at Cole, Chuck?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Lenny had over 30.
Right.
Wow.
But so we get him a second time in the Sweet 16. And obviously we played another great game. But we got to see Lenny Bias again, and I was just in awe. That Maryland team was awesome that year too. So
yeah, they were really good.
That Birmingham trip was kind of special. And then, of course, Roley with his halftime speech with Carolina and so forth, right, Chuck? And it's just it seems like yesterday, right, Laura?
Yeah, the Maryland guys, actually, they asked us to go out with them after the game. I remember they were really nice, and they were like, what are you doing after, we had just beat them, and they were like, where are you guys going? So I feel like there was a lot of camaraderie between the players, and there wasn't any major rivalry, but I don't think we ended up doing anything with them. I think we just, I
celebrated.
Yeah. But North Carolina, so
Alabama way.
Do you guys remember, what about when we got back from North Carolina and got to school, and they brought us out onto the stage, and Jake Nevin Fieldhouse had more people than we had students in the school, all in the gym at the same. It was unbelievable, actually.
That
it was like
it was awesome.
The banner, like when they had in the Palestra, Sonny's favorite auditorium, favorite gym, the Palestra. We had the rollout signs, and it was always, sometimes it wasn't so funny to certain players, and sometimes it was, but they had a lot of those banners rolled out. And I remember it was like being on stage, like in a concert or something. It was
that was amazing.
It was wild. They had a big turnout for that. So
now, before you get to the Nevin. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, sweet Jake Nevin. Lisa, Patty, and I, our ritual was to go over to Jake, and then we'd take his little hat off and kiss his head for good luck. And he was just the best. He was so special and such a big part of the program.
Yeah, he was.
He was awesome. I mean, we don't win without him, because the game you mentioned on St. Patrick's Day, he put the Leprechaun's hat on. We were the only team in the tournament that had our own leprechaun at the game. So I felt pretty good after we beat Michigan. I said, well, we got a little extra on our side. I never thought it was going to be in doubt after that,
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sonny, you wanted to say?
I wanted to ask you, Laura, especially with 4 years of experience, any memorable stories of anything along the way?
Well, there's a few. Well, okay, so my story was I only wanted to go to North Carolina. It's the only school I applied to, only school I wanted to go to, and I did not get in. And my dad was like, you got to just apply to other schools. And I was like, that's the only school I want to go to. So it was Villanova, and I applied to NC State. And when I went to NC State, I said, no, I can't be that close to North Carolina. That's like the number one school. It's beautiful. And I have to say, it wasn't until senior year when we beat North Carolina that I said, okay, God, now I get why you didn't let me get into North Carolina. I'm supposed to be at Villanova at this moment. But it took 4 years. But so for me, that win against North Carolina was just such a moment for me. And just to see our boys just keep winning. And, they were the little Cinderella team, but they had mountains, and they did it every time.
How about you? Any great memories or stories or interaction?
Well, I'll tell you just another quick story. When I was trying out, because there was an official tryout, we did it on Jake Nevin's stage, where Chuck just mentioned, where the team was after we were going to the Final Four. Sure. And we were trying out there on a Friday afternoon, a late Friday afternoon. And obviously my roommates knew that I was trying out for cheerleading. Well, they had gone down to Kelly's for, after classes were over at like probably noontime. And so they were in Kelly's for 4 or 5 hours. They'd come up to Jake Nevin Fieldhouse. They lift up the curtain on the stage, knowing I was trying out for cheerleading behind that curtain. They lifted up the curtain and started pointing at me, laughing at me, and they were basically 3 sheets. But I, rallied through the tryout and made the squad and everything. So that was kind of funny way to start it. But what I can say, Sonny, is, I've had a lot of blessings in my life. My parents were awesome, allowing me to go to Villanova. A lot of other things, met a lot of great people in my life, have a beautiful wife, beautiful kids. Being asked by Lori, Patty, and Lisa to be a cheerleader was one of the best decisions I ever made, because it just, obviously winning the national championship was spectacular, but it opened so many doors for me, and my friendship circle expanded beyond a telephone book. So to me, that's how it kind of all went full circle from the beginning to the end. And I just, I love Villanova. I'll always love Villanova. I love the men's basketball program to death. And, my first job out of school was because I was a Villanova cheerleader, and the guy that I interviewed with loved every story. I think I gave him the whole season game by game, and he was like eating out of my palm. So it was awesome. It was awesome. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, we were very protective of our players. We were very tight with them. They were our family. Right, Murph? We just loved our guys. And I remember, Chuck, I had told you, I remember going to Lexington. And in my house with 3 older brothers, I thought reading the newspaper was the sports page. I didn't realize there was other parts of the paper. It was the sports page. So I remember getting down to Lexington, and I was reading the sports page, and this article was ripping our players. Why are they there? They're not talented. Who invited Villanova? It was just not very nice about our players. And I remember sitting there thinking, our guys work so hard and so talented, and they're so awesome as people and not even just players. And so I picked up the phone and I called the newspaper, and I asked for the gentleman that wrote the article. So he gets on the phone, and I go, what kind of a welcome is this? And our players are coming down here, and they deserve respect. And I am just ripping him, and I cannot believe you had the audacity to write this article when our players are so talented. And I go, and let me tell you, when we beat, whether it's tonight's game or it's the championship, I better open this paper up the next day or in 2 days, and I better see a better article about our players, and you better either apologize or give some respect to our boys. And he was just like, and who is this? And I go, and I was like, well, this is Lori DeCello, and I'm a Villanova cheerleader, and I really hope I see an apology, And then I just hung up, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what did I do? But I was so upset for our guys because they worked. That's your life.
Did you get your apology?
He wrote an article. He did. When you won, he did. And he said, I was wrong. And I think I saved the article. It is somewhere in my memory box. I'm definitely going to have to look for it. But he definitely, but it made him think
Not very
our guys are good.
Let me hospitality. I'll tell you that.
Did they protect you guys? Did they protect you guys like that at Syracuse? Did the cheerleaders had your back like that?
Not really. No. Our cheerleaders. We were not as close with our cheerleaders as a lot of other teams. I don't think, from the sound of it. We got along, but they kind of had their own thing. And and getting on, and then the TV, and then the way the student section lined up in the dome, and they didn't go to every away game, and I think they had to kind of fend for themselves at times. But I do remember down in Georgetown, I got the chance to drive around with a bunch of them, and we took them. There was like 3 or 4 of them piled in the back of the Lincoln Continental, and there were 3 or 4 of us in the front seat, and it was like something like that car in Animal House, like all down the highway, and we just rode all over the place. And then we did the same thing in Boston because we could park and not worry about parking tickets, just park it there, run up to the Washington Monument. We did stuff like that. That was a lot of fun, but for the most part, we didn't really do a lot of that. I mean, they were never at our hotel either.
But like on campus, you didn't go to each other's like rooms to say hi or like see each other.
No,
Chuck, you and I went out for your big game.
What was that?
You and I went out for ice cream in Connolly Center after one of your big games. We went to go celebrate. Was that like Georgetown, or you had a great game against? I want to say it was Georgetown.
Probably when you owned Patrick, remember?
What was that?
When you owned Patrick, remember?
Yeah, that was that guy.
Well, I think Lori's right. Lori's right. It's like I think of the team as like an extended family.
Right.
Our squad was that close with the team, and Chuck and I were talking about this the other day. Chuck and I have known each other for 40 years. It's amazing, and everyone on that team, the championship team, I'm still in touch with almost everyone today. I'm still in touch with in one way or another, and it's that bond that will never be broken. That we were all, we were all part of it, and all, obviously the memories are still fresh, and it's very special.
So let me ask you about the final game. So you guys are getting out of the hotel and you're walking around, and I remember Patty on the HBO special said that they were selling Georgetown championship T-shirts. What did you guys see any of that stuff going on? Did you see that, Laura?
Oh yeah.
So they were selling shirts, Georgetown 1985 national championship shirts.
Before the game,
didn't they have the newspapers printed up already?
They had a whole bunch of crazy stuff.
Before the game even started, that Georgetown was going to be national champion.
Yeah, just like Drew was going to be president.
And then, it was like there would be a Martian in the White House before we beat Georgetown. So so I remember that stuff. And then Steve, talk about our I say ours because it's our famous moment at halftime with Reggie. We shared a moment. Steve, when everything went on with Reggie, Sonny, the first guy out there, to like jump in between me and the ref was Steve. So tell that story, Steve.
So, of course, we had the great seats. And, if Chuck was on the court or any of the other guys were on the court, I'd be always yelling to him, Chuck, back door, or this or that, just picking up little things on the court. So, that close. So like all of the cheerleading squad, we were really all into it. We knew all the opposing players. We knew this, we knew that. So we could see, obviously, from, a bird's eye view, what exactly was going on in the court. So as time was ticking down in the first half, there's seconds left. And Chuck, you were in the middle of the key. I was underneath the basket. And Reggie just comes down and goes boom like this to Chuck. I said, this is not right. I'm waiting for the tee. No tee's coming out. Ref's not calling a tee or anything. And there's like 2 seconds left. So I'm like, I'm getting on the court. Like if this is going to happen, if Dukes are going to fly, I'm helping my buddy Chuck. So I'm on Chuck's back. Like I'm ready to climb Chuck's back to get to Reggie. It's like, it was crazy. And then I don't know, Chuck, you might have to tell me this if this is true or not. But when Rolly was running into the locker room all fired up and you guys were running after, did he say, get Murphy to run in with us?
I did not hear that. No. Listen, I don't want to burst your bubble, Murph, but I didn't hear that.
You did not say
there was a lot of words coming out of Coach Massimino's mouth, but get Murphy wasn't one of them. I didn't think.
When you ran out there,
here, but
When you ran out there, did you realize Chuck's 7'2" and Reggie's 6'9"? Like you're in the middle of a.
Yeah, he didn't realize I could take care of myself, and Reggie and I have since hugged it out. You know that. So I would say that it was funny because I'm yelling at the ref because first of all I wasn't catching Reggie. Let's be honest, okay? He was hit. It was a hit and run. He took it off, and there was no way I would have looked foolish trying to catch him. So my thought immediately was, I'm not getting back in the game in the second half. You know, I want the foul shot. I want a chance to be in the you know that. I don't want to be in the book, man. You know, come on. So that was my thing. I was like, come on. That's why I was mad at the referee. I'm like, you got to call something. At least I would get the 1-and-1, something.
Oh, it was such a cheap shot, but you know.
So what about post game now? What did you guys? It was a blur. I mean, it was crazy. It was mad. It was people everywhere. You know,
everywhere. Didn't we have to go right on the airplane? That's what I feel like we did.
No, we didn't go till the next
day. Did you get a chance to at least gloat that you called it and you predicted it and you told this guy at the press, yo, this is what's happening? I mean, did you like stand up and say, this is me, baby, I called it? Nothing?
Sonny, I think we were so in shock. I mean, it was but just the fact it was Georgetown, though, I knew we could beat them. If it was any other, like an ACC team, or I don't know, but I knew we could beat Georgetown. So I felt comfortable in that game. I didn't feel, I knew our guys could do it, but when the end happened, it was a moment. There was no gloating. I think we were just like, wow.
Yeah.
And I remember the guys cutting down the net and Harold Presley, love Harold Presley. And he walked over and he gave me a piece of his net, which it's one of my most valuable treasures. And every time I see him, I just thank him. I said, thank you. I was just a little cheerleader over here watching you guys. And he walked over and just split his net and handed it to me. And that's when you just, that's how our guys were. Yeah. They just treated us.
Well, that really, that defines it, right?
Yeah, right? I mean,
we were on the court celebrating like everybody else. And, cameras are all over the place. And Chuck, a lot of that footage today when the guys are standing on the table. And, it's just, again, it seems like yesterday. But Lori's right that we had to fly home late that night. Mm-hmm. And Chuck, the parade in Philly, downtown Philly, was the next day.
We got off the plane and got right on a truck.
Right.
We had to get ready.
Yeah.
We went home to our apartments or whatever. We could sleep for 2 or 3 hours before we had to get ready to go down for the parade. And that was crazy.
That was madhouse.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Well, I got 2 more questions, and we got to wrap it up. We're getting up against it a little bit. Lori, so Sonny, I have to tell you, Lori has got the dubious distinction. Lori's daughter, Nikki, was also a legacy cheerleader for Villanova. Lori was there for the first title, the first NCAA championship, and Nikki was there for the next 2. So she trumps her mother by getting 2 championships over 1. And, Sonny, you could tell them, what are we, you and I? We are
professional journalists.
Professional journalists, correct. And our minions, Sonny, I sent our minions out to look up this stat, and Lori and her daughter, Nikki, are the only mother-daughter team cheerleaders to win national championships both.
Wow.
So talk about having your daughter kind of walk in your footsteps there, Lori.
Well, it's so crazy because she always wanted Villanova. And so her senior year, we were going to campus and Steve Pannone, as you know, he is the best. And he's like, Laura, when you get to campus, I want you to come to Jay Wright's office. So, of course, anytime I see Jay, because Patty was my captain and I adore Patty, every time I see Jay, he just goes, Patty's over there. because he knows I want to go talk to Patty. I mean, love Jay, but like Patty Riley Wright is so special to me. But Steve's like, I want you to bring Nikki to Jay Wright's office when you're walking the campus. And so we did. We go up, and Jay was in a meeting, but he paused, and Nikki and I came in, and Jay is talking to her. And, you know, he's just so, he's so amazing how he's just engaged in the conversation. He's, you know, asking her questions, and he's so interested, and he's so busy, but like he gave her the time, and he said to her, so Nikki, you want to go to Villanova? And she's like, yeah, that's my dream school. And he said, well, are you going to cheer, you know, like your mom did? And she goes, well, that's my dream too. And then I looked at Jay and I go, do you believe in karma? And he goes, well, what do you mean? And I go, can you imagine? I cheered here for Rolly and we won a national championship. Can you imagine if Nikki came in and cheered for you and you two win a national championship? And he goes, let's do it. And so like that was senior year of, you know, her Villanova, right?
Yep.
So freshman year, she makes the cheerleading squad. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And my only dream for her was that she would have a relationship with the players like we did, because it was so special and it was family and you just felt safe. And so sure enough, she becomes best friends with Jalen and Dante and Eric and, you know, the guys, all the Villanova basketball players, they're just good people. So she becomes tight with all of them. And, you know, funny story, when I first met Jalen at Hoops on the Hudson, I didn't know he was as good as he was. And so I went up to him and I said, Jalen, I said, I love the friendship you and Nikki have. You are amazing. And just know, I'm going to be your number one fan, even if you sit the bench. So I'm sure when he heard that, he's probably like, sit the bench. Like, I don't think.
Well, it's a good thing you stayed on the sidelines cheering and weren't evaluating talent for our team, Lori. That's what I would tell you. My goodness.
So, you know, but you know, fast forward to Nikki, there's 34 cheerleaders. So as a freshman, only 12 cheerleaders the NCAA sends. So freshman year, she went as a student. She wasn't actually cheering. So when they won, Jalen came down. It was like, I don't even know, 2 a.m. to our hotel room. Our whole family's in the room, and he's very close with our family, and we just love him. So he comes flying in the room, and we're like, oh, you know, that was amazing. And so he looks at me, and I go, but I have a favor. And Jalen's like, okay. I said, I need you to do this one more time. And he goes, what? And I said, well, Nikki was a student. I would love it if she could be on the court cheering and you would be on the court playing, and you two could have like a national championship, right? So he looks at me and he goes, all right. He said, let's do it. And I was like, oh. And then 2018, there they were.
Well, I got one question for you. What stocks do you like?
Very good, Sonny.
Good.
Tell me, I'll go buy Xerox, IBM. Tell me right now.
Okay, so final thoughts, guys.
Holy cow.
Give me, you know, your last words on your time spent on the cheerleading team at Villanova. Steve, you first.
Again, I'll go back to, you know, on the cheerleading squad, I've made lifelong friends, and Lori and I see each other a lot, and I see, you know, Patty and Lisa a lot, and some of the others on the squad. But, you know, we'll always have that bond that we were, you know, a mediocre team in the middle of the season, and we go on to win a national championship. And, you know, to meet you, Chuck, and to meet the rest of the team and the assistant coaches and Coach Mass and, you know, everybody affiliated with the program, it's just, you know, I'll always have that. It was special, very special, still is.
How about you, Laura?
Same. I mean, honestly, like, I feel like what a blessing in our life to have been at this time all together, all of us. And it doesn't even matter what year the team, the players, the cheerleaders. We are just one big family. And I feel like, it's something that's so special. And I feel so lucky to have a daughter that experienced what I experienced, because you really can't put it into words. You guys know. I mean, playing in a packed arena and hearing the fans and seeing the support of all the students and families, and you just can't describe it. So to see my daughter, experiencing that and having friendships forever, just lifelong friends. And I mean, we're family. And Sonny, I'm happy that you could be our family, even though you went to Syracuse, because we're Big East too. And
I tell you this: in your Final Fours, I'm 2 for 2. I was at 2016. Right. I was at 2018.
We made him an honorary Wildcat, CB and I, and we give.
I went to HMS with the whole Villanova Nation that one year. That was in yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's how close it is.
Well, I look forward to cheersing you when we're all together.
Well, Coach Mass was all family, and it really was, right down to the cheerleading squad and everybody else that was part of the team. Everybody had a job to do, and one person's job was more important than the other. And so I want to thank both you guys for coming out tonight and hanging with Sonny and I. We really, really appreciate it. And
very much.
It was fun with both of you.
It was so fun.
Yeah, it's great being with the two of you. Keep up the great work.
Yeah.
Big East needs you guys.
Thank you.
You've been listening to and watching the Big East Rewind with Chuck Everson and Sonny Sparrow. The Big East Rewind was produced and directed by Nick Chico Chorus, Daryl Gurney, and our new partners at Boundless Ventures. You can check us out on all things social media by putting Big East Rewind in the search bar. And we ask you to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.
Thanks, folks.
All right.